Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome. It's so great to connect with you on Wednesday, Wisdom Wednesday. So I see people getting cozy, comfy in the chat. I just got my decaf latte with almond milk. Oh, hello, Jules. It's good to see you. All right. So I did put in the Patreon and Instagram Awakenings groups the link if you want to join the conversation. We'd love to have you here. Dallisa will be on in a bit. So I'm just going to get a little more settled here. Jules, it's good to see you. How are things going? Can't wait to hear world predictions. Yes. So I'm going to be weaving those in with different live streams. I'm actually going to talk more about those. And I just got some other messages from the spiritual hierarchy and the OverSouls that I do want to relay also. This is a very monumentous time, everyone. And I always have been saying since like 2011 that the revolution is a quiet one. It's really stepping away from the old narrative, the old story. And you are a part of this. You've heard me say this on live streams, and we were just, an audio podcast. By the way, if you are new here, hello, I am Michelle Mache. This is Awakenings with Michelle Mache, and this series is Awakening Conversations, and you are so a part of the conversation. We not only want to hear from you, we need to hear from you. We need to connect, like 3i Atlas said, make contact with each other, connect, true connection, heart to soul, and communicate to get the conversation going, the dialogue and the sharing of what you're doing. This is so important, and I'm really going to be underscoring this a lot because the universe picks up on trends. So what is trending is what gets picked up. So as we are coming together more and more in the unified field of consciousness, what we're putting out there, we're seeding what we want to have happen, and it's gaining momentum. So there's momentum, then there's attraction, then there is a building and bridging, and then there's a stabilizing and then maintaining. And that's how manifestation works, from the astral to the etheric and then the denser physical plane. Yay, good to see you, Barbie. Welcome everyone. Sue, it's great to see you as well. Miss Jules, always good to see you. Bailey, good to see you too as well. I hope you can call in, Bailey. Okay, actually, Bailey kind of was your message the other day for you calling in. So let me start there. We'll get into the visions and I guess some predictions. Some of you already know some of these predictions. I'm going to be repeating stuff throughout our awakening conversations because a lot of new people, I have not been on YouTube. We've only been on a month here, maybe a month doing live stream. Excuse me. So a lot of people, it's new. It's funny. I was interviewed on another podcast months ago and they said, Michelle sounds like a operative, FBI or CIA operative. I do have government connections. I do have connections in the FBI as a psychic channel and a medium, but I was asked to work for the government and I said no, to work as a healer, a remote viewer, and psychic channel. Guys, I'm just not that, you know me. Look how long I've been doing this podcast before a lot of other people, 2007, 2006. I'm just not that ambitious. I have too much, even when I was a model and an actress, I'm just not that ambitious, but I do get fired up and passionate about awakening and what we're all doing. Okay. Hi, happy Wednesday. Find joy in nature. Please also put your comments in the chat and also call in. Okay. So let's start with this because when Dallisa comes on, we're going to talk more. I am going to by the way, some of my predictions, more births I'm seeing, and back to live music, rock and roll. We have a lot of cultural changes. Let me just say, the only way marching in this, none of this is doing it. Working through existing systems, yes, is needed and necessary, but that's not where the change is happening. it's happening like it happens with fashion. Like nobody's wearing straight leg jeans anymore. They're wearing bell bottoms, flares, they're wearing fringe cut, or they're not. It doesn't matter if big companies or corporations or governments say this is what's going on. Maybe for the short term, it's what the people decide. You know, our feet walk with where we spend our time, energy, and money, of course. So it's imperative that we get together. So I'm seeing all these cultural shifts. YouTube will be changing, will be more like regular TV. I've been shown that. There will be other social media platforms and underground platforms that then gain momentum and traction and then form to deliver messages, because we have a big time of censorship that is coming in. I would not be surprised if something like MySpace or other things like that come back around, because I do see like Amazon being broken up. I'm seeing these companies having to really break down, diversify. And guys, I predicted this with the reality programming, with studios. I dropped my clients that are in the TV film industry. I kept telling them, look, the studios are not going to be calling the shots like they are. Cable is going to be defunct. So one of the things that's happening, hey Laura, good to see you. Come on, everybody, I love it. Somebody come on the stream. Come and say hello. Also, by the way, everyone, we're here every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific time. We have a good time. Listen, the people that are in the chat have been on the soul path with me for many, many years. So this is not a fly by night. I'm optimistically, joyfully serious about what I do, because I live, breathe this. I've been doing this since 4 years old. In fact, when my dad said, Miha, you have to come back and help the family. I'm like, I've been doing that since 4 years old, gang. I'm going out into the world to help other people. Starseed mission. That's a lot of you are going to be getting your Starseed mission too. I'm going to be talking more about that in the Pleiadian connection and how we're being helped by the Pleiadians. Pleiadians are very big on service, coming through the heart chakra, similar to 3-Eye Atlas. Remember that big heart opening that I had, the transmissions that I shared with you from 3-Eye Atlas. So what happened? This is how the guides work, because the guides, as OverSouls, when they give me information, like when I predicted the Berlin Wall coming down, I can go on and on and on. People trading, using computers in 1995 trading. Now, people can look back and go, oh, it's not a big deal, Michelle, but it was at the time. And in fact, some of the predictions I made, I got heckled for, especially with the traders. Or when I got the message about the pandemic and everything and the units, of monetization, upcoming changes. I'm going to go through all of that. It's not to scare or awe or woo. It is for people to plan. And why? Because the changes happen through each of us. Every one of you are bringing in the changes. They're not going to happen in a systemized approach. So last week, when was it Bailey came on? Bailey, I hope you come back on again. Okay. So I think it was the next day I had, I meet with the guides to get information, and most of it I'm putting on Patreon, but some of it I sprinkled through. Especially when I just did the audio podcast, you can go back, because I wasn't censored. So I talked about a lot of things. I talked about the vaccine, the pandemic, censorship, vaccine passports. I mean, I did not censor. And the reason I was able to not censor, because audio podcasts did not have transcripts. They do now, but it is easier still, because they don't really use them as much. It is easier still by audio. YouTube as a platform is very censored. Every word, there are key phrases and words that if you say, your videos are deleted. And so years ago, when I uploaded some videos about my predictions and world predictions and what was going on with the pandemic and everything that's happening now, basically also, they were just taken down. There was just no way. And they were unlisted. I had unlisted some of them and posted them on Patreon. and those got taken down. So high level censorship still is. So I don't know how much to say. That's why I put most of it in my workshops, seminars, Patreon, posts, groups with my individual clients. And I'm going to be working more publicly with my predictions because I use it just really to help a lot of people. And I work with a lot of people that are in very key influential positions in the world. So it helps them kind of navigate what's going on in the world or the markets with money and this and that. So what happened when Bailey was on the next day, when I did my sitting with the guides, where sometimes they come to me, they've been coming to me again more between 3 and 5 a.m. And that's how it originally happened years ago when I first started doing this. And for those of you that don't know my story, a little bit of my story, I am a natural psychic since birth, channeling, working with spirits. However, what happened, I also had another life of modeling and acting, and I even taught school. And then one day or early morning, I was awakened by these guides that said there was spiritual hierarchy and OverSouls. And I'm like, who is that? I later found out. And I was given all this information on individual people plus world events for 2 years. Just that's all I did. I just answered the phone and gave information. And then it became more of, okay, I'm actually going to, do this for my life or whatever livelihood, right? So that's really how it started. So I would get this information and then the people would be sent to me. And then later people would come to me and then I'd get the information and give it to me. And it was always something people said, oh, I've been praying for this, or how could you know this? Or I really need this information, or I'm in this court case and I needed this. So I am starting to do more of that kind of sitting again with the guides where they're coming, and it just kind of over kind of takes me. And they appear. And I later found out, I found some books, old books in the early 1900s where this group worked. And we're connected to all of that. I'm just a channel for that. And I'm sure when Dallisa gets on, I think she'll be here at 12, what time is it? 12:30. So what happened after Awakenings on Wednesday when Bailey came on, Bailey, I hope you come on again. What happened was, I'm not on the go today and I'm listening here. Okay, I can't wait to hear what you channel. I can't wait to call in next show. Oh, great, Bailey. So what happened, this kind of came from Bailey, actually, and that's how the guides work. And I always say if a prediction or vision is really true, there's going to be what you need to do. That's why what I do is channel guidance. That's what they told me to call it. So the guy, and I recorded it, so I will be putting it up later, maybe on here, but for sure on Patreon. So the guides were saying, this is the call for the great gathering. This is, and they said, like your community member did, Bailey. And I said, oh, Bailey. I go, yeah, we had a great conversation. And they said, no, you have to get people. This is why they nudged me, even though, I mean, I didn't change the name of the podcast because we've been, audio for so long. Like I said, we've only been 3 weeks or 4 weeks on YouTube. So we're very new here. It was Awakenings with Michelle Mache. That'll stay, but they kept saying you have to have these awakening conversations. You have to get people together, all layers, all levels, not just experts and authors. We'll still have that. We still connected to a lot of publicists and, all of that. That still will happen. But that it's going to be the everyday person, which is so Aquarian when you think about it. And when I look back, and this is why I want you guys to start looking with the awakening eyes. When I look back, even my predictions from the Berlin Wall going down from 1995, me predicting the average everyday person would be trading stocks by computer. I shared that with you guys and I got laughed at. I was doing conferences, tech conferences, and working with a lot of traders. They laughed at me. They said, Michelle, that'll never happen. The margin of error is too great by computer. And I told them, I said, you need to sell those seats, those expensive seats. You're not going to be trading as much in the pit or those seats. Some people listened and they got their money. Some, they got stuck with those seats. from what the prediction of we're not going to have soap operas anymore. It's going to be real stories, real people. It's going to be about real stories. So I started talking about that messaging and prediction came through. Then I was saying it's not going to be reality star. We have the falling stars, the celebrities, the stars, the social media stars. That's all going away. There's something else coming in. So when you start looking, you can see where we're being guided, where your oversoul is guiding you. This is why I keep saying it's so important that you share. Like some people say, well, I don't have anything to share. I'm not a teacher. You don't know. First of all, you don't know the wisdom you have by what you share or the question you ask. So many times, especially when we were on Blog Talk Radio, people would call in and go, well, oh, you answered my question already. So-and-so said it. Or I liked hearing from Bailey, her tools. I've got some people that were saying that in the comments. Thank Bailey for sharing her tools. It's important for each of us to hear each other's voice and connect. But also, most importantly, that gets the trend going. The universe is not going to pick up so much on the outer of what we do. It's the vibrational frequency, the resonance that we're creating. So when we have this similar thought, the thought forms, Uranus and Gemini, we're changing the thought forms, the beliefs, the narrative, changes the expectation, changes what manifests. The universe is picking up. We don't even have to be in the same room or a neighborhood or community. I mean, that helps, that bolsters it when we come together like this or other, group settings. But the universe, what gets manifested on the earth plane is whatever has the most vibrational frequency or resonance or complex of vibrational frequency and resonance, like a puzzle. It has to fit together. Because we are here, if anybody that studied even basic physics and philosophy, we have a consensus reality here of what colors are, what's happy, what's sad. It's in a way it's arbitrary, but what's not arbitrary is vibrational frequency and energy. That's the sign. That's not arbitrary. We could call it happy, sad. We could call it a blue light, a pink light. It doesn't matter. That's not what the universe picks up on. It picks up on the energetics. Here's an example. Have you ever gone into a room? And I know this has happened to me. Actually, years ago, it happened. I was going to a party at a friend's house. And a friend and I we were early because we were going to help. And you could tell there was something off in the room. It was like, uh-oh, I think they've been arguing. And they had. Later, my friend was like, oh, you came and we just got in a big old row. We got in a big argument. What was I picking up on? Vibrational frequency and energy and what it resonates and what it communicates to me. What I've learned, it had a certain feeling, a certain vibe, and we later learn, oh, something's off, argument, misunderstand, there's discord there. There's more disharmony or discord or dissonance than resonance and accord. Same thing, whether it's somebody's house or a sacred site, you feel the energetics. So Bailey, hooray, yes, Bailey, hooray. So thank you, Bailey. It was sparked by you. And the guide said, this is the example we need to share with each other because we shore each other up. We optimize each other's vibrational frequency resonance, which is energy in motion, which is our emotional body. The emotional body is the carrier wave to manifestation. You cannot manifest without emotion, energy in motion. This is why we call it inspiration, motivation, joy, happiness. I'm impassioned. I'm excited. It doesn't matter what you call it. So you all are so important. Greetings. Hello. Hi, Twin Pics. Hi, Al. So you're so important to this. It's not about talking heads. It's yes, there are experts, there are people that have trained and done things, but we're all not only learning from each other, we are creating this satellite star system, just like a cable network or satellite network. that we're making each other's signals stronger, and we're making the main signal stronger to connect into the big signal, the infinite, the portal, the signal that goes into the portal of infinite creative intelligence, the all that is. And so as you're doing that more, it changes what's on the astral plane. The astral plane corresponds to our emotional body, astral body, emotional body, and we have an etheric, what do you want to call it? DNA structure, as well. So a lot of changes that happen through there, and then we absorb it, whether you want to call it osmosis, whether you want to call it subconscious mind, energetic field, morphogenic fields. It doesn't, whatever we call it, which is great, call it whatever you feel comfortable with. But the bottom line is, it's the time of the great gathering, and we have to gather and connect with each other and share. We need to hear from, everyone. And especially, I'll be honest, just like new great music, fashion, artists, designers, it's going to come from the people that are under the radar. It's not going to come, the big awakening and messaging and growth is not going to come from who's already out there prominent, because they're too much of the old resonance. There's nothing wrong. They're still going to be instrumental and helpful, but it's the quiet voice. It's the dark horse. It's the unseen. And this is why you see right now in business, as I do a lot of deep dives to confirm my predictions and visions. And I work with a lot of people that have huge companies, and they're like, we don't know who to bet on. We don't know what's the next big thing. It's not on their radar yet. So right now is a great time for all of you to start what it is that you want, right where you are with what you have right now. Start it on the side, little by little. It doesn't matter how much or how big, or like, oh, I have to do this an hour a day, or I have to do this, or I'm not committed. No, your higher self, the OverSouls, and the universe, God as the universe, because there's beyond the universe, there is something beyond the universe. It's infinite. Will pick up on the resonance of what you're doing and start morphing and moving your life around to do more of how you're going to manifest, express, and experience your soul's purpose now. And for many of you, your soul's mission. So it is an amazing time. We are going to talk a lot about what's coming up to help. I'm going to weave it in. I promise I will do a show where we just go boom, boom, boom. And if you have questions, I'll go through where we're going and all the predictions. But when I sat in meditation today, they said, you have to relay just what Bailey did. I don't know. It was the show with me, like, I think the 19th, I think it was. So was that last week? That's what we need. You're sparking the conversation. You're sparking the insight. You're answering the question, but you're also sparking new questions and getting us thinking, all of us, differently, and then reinforcing the vibration frequency of the new emerging consciousness. That's where the new paradigm forms come on Earth. You do not wait. It's not going to be a president. In fact, I'm going to predict the next president is a doozy. That's another thing. Those of you know, in 2015, I predicted President Trump getting in. And then in 2019, or whenever it was, the last. So I say that because it was last week. Okay, Bailey, thank you. It was the 19th. So I say that because the same group, cabal, steering committee, Bilderberg group, you're not going to see who they are. It's beyond Gates. Those are puppets. It's not the president. It's not the prime minister. But that is changing. The message is not to wait to be saved. And in fact, with the third wave visionaries, what's coming in is a third way, and many of you are third wave visionaries. We're going to have a third way. We're going to have a third, public or presidential system, party. You're going to see a lot of new ways coming in, and you're going to hear people in key positions or more public that, it's not the right or the left or the blue or the red, it's the purple. Which, think of that vibrationally, that violent flame is coming in, gang. So you are part of that. It happens individually. And that is also Pluto and Aquarius, especially with that South node in Leo and now Jupiter in Leo. it is about the individual expression and how we influence the group, humanity. I see Dallisa here. Okay, gang. So some of you already here. Dallisa is here. Was incredible, Bailey. Oh, thank you. Yes. Listen to it. It's worth a listen to how Bailey is using the tools. We've talked about positive and negative triggers and making sure that you also have positive triggers, in your life and what to do. And she took that, something I shared, and made it her own. And there's some other things she's doing that's transforming. So it's great to do that individually. And I know so many of you are, but it's also good to share, what you're doing and how you're doing on the soul path. All right, gang. So second half of the program today, I'm really happy to have back. And she was on the audio podcast. I don't know if it was last year or so, but we have back with us Dallisa Hocking, and fifth generation psychic medium and also astrologer. And one of the things I get really excited about having her on is, I don't even know, I think her company or somebody reached out to us, but when I saw some of her predictions, I said, oh my God, to our producer, I was like, someone that's had some of the same predictions I've had or vision. What? I said, please bring her on. So she is back, and I know you are all so happy and excited about having her back on. Hi, Dallisa.
Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
Oh, I am doing great. I'm so feel so grateful to have you back on. So
yeah, it was a fun conversation the last time, so I'm sure we're going to get into a lot of good stuff this time too.
Yeah, it's time. Oh, I got goosebumps already. We're already charging up here. I can feel it. Wow. So let's Barbie is saying, so give our attention to our own joy and not to the world stage. Yeah. What do you think, Delete? Yeah. It's a distraction right now. It's a distraction, a psyop, a marketing tool, a psychological.
For sure. It's a lot of noise out there, and I think it can be really easy to get lost in the noise these days. And so I think it's more about tuning into ourselves, because it can be really easy to get lost in what's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you recall, and this is why sometimes I think contemplation is great. I do a lot of that, or I do my deep dives to find, get the confirmations, yay or nay. Is just remember what happened in 2020 and how misled and lied to, and I don't get into fault. I always say, I don't know about you, Dallisa. I was saying this the other day. It's like, look, I kind of get it. Not everything's malevolent. If you have billions of people in the world and you're you have to do some things to steer people in a certain direction. You have to have driving on the right or driving on the left. These rules. I get that. Some of the malevolent or old narratives, maybe less conscious or aware or fearful, whatever the reason. I just like to say it's kind of old paradigm. Those are there, and those narratives are going to be there, right? In what we're told or what we're taught. That's why I think too, Aquarius is a lot about accountability and, most important, responsibility. We have to do our own research, right? And I know so many people say, oh, I don't have time, but trust me, sometimes I'm 2, 3 a.m. reading something and researching something.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. But I do think with the activations in Aquarius, with the North Node and with Pluto, it's going to be a time of a reckoning. I mean, that could be a word that I would use to describe as reckoning. And the power going back to the people. And so one of the things I've seen, and I'm sure many others have seen, is more and more people taking to the streets with rioting and protesting. And I think in the US, as we get closer to the midterm elections, I think it's going to get really rowdy, and they may declare some kind of national emergency where people are not going to be able to vote in the ways they normally do. It just feels like there's something really weird about the midterms and how they don't even happen as planned.
Yeah. I would agree. One of the visions I got in 2017 was, yes, the marching, and some of it already happened. It was interesting. The guys in the fatigues, or the National Guard, but I saw National Guard, but also Army. I saw a lot of water being a big thing, like a lot of fighting in the water with those big, what are those ships, battleships. So we're going to have a lot, I think, just right on the edge, international waters, a lot of fighting. But I did see on American soil, what do you call it when you have the curfew and not being
Oh,
able, yeah,
yeah.
not being able to fly as much. I'm seeing a lot of stuff with airlines changing, less, some new great things, plane wise, flying wise, but also some airlines going under. But I agree with you. I think the marching in the streets, yes, and I would say well, we're already really in this civil war, but I do feel it. I agree with you. It's going to escalate into more domestic violence, and that's why I feel, to your information that you're receiving, is that they're out of the guise of being safe. We're going to have these, curfews, quarantines, uh, different paperwork in the passport, or where you can travel. I think we're going to get checked out, a lot more with licenses and things like that. But I also see, and don't know if you get this, I do see that happening externally, because that's so much the old paradigm and how people are used to voicing things. There seems to be this whole, the guides called it third wave visionaries, and they said they're creating this third way, and them creating apps, alternate platforms, alternate ways to communicate, banking. They're creating alternate systems based more on, you might say in the old paradigm, like-minded individuals, but it's going to be more like-minded, maybe purpose.
Hmm.
Because I was shown a lot of people, and this was since 2011, the people that we think are spiritual that are going to be there, which is what happened during the pandemic. The spiritual community was the worst with calling anger, and if you didn't get the vaccine, you were, people screaming. I mean, it was really bad. I mean, I even had some clients say I got frightened because I went to their class or yoga, or I couldn't go because I didn't have this, that, whatever. But we're going to be paired with people that don't seem like us, or might seem like they're not gifted. Maybe they look very conservative, right? Or maybe they're pro-choice, and we're pro-life, or they're pro-life, and we're going to be working right near each other. Or maybe they're as conservative as heck, and we've got, blue hair, mohawk, channeling Arcturus, and we're going to be side by side. Which again is, power back to, which again is that Aquarius energy. So that was one of the things the guides were saying, is we have to really go by our gut vibrational frequency. To your point, this going within, we can't go anymore by the external, like, oh, they have this book out, or they look spiritual, or they wear white, or they've been doing yoga, they eat vegan. All of that is like a trap. So speaking of that, what do you have? What do you have any suggestions for people to tune in? Because you talked about going within, and I know last time when we talked, you mentioned that as well. This going within, and kind
Yeah,
of
I think the frequency is going to be shifting and adjusting, right? And the consciousness is going to get into a higher level. And I think that what you're saying about different people, standing side by side or engaging with each other, I think that could go hand in hand with the rise in consciousness, because it's all
Mm,
about a frequency match. And so
yes.
as we progress into the future, we're going to be around people that are more of a frequency match for us. The lower frequencies, or even the higher frequencies compared to ourselves, they'll still be around on earth, but we won't be having as much interaction with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of the things that you were just mentioning as well. I've seen on the East Coast of the United States, what looked like foreign adversaries, like
Yeah.
coming in or near the East Coast of the United States. I also felt with plane travel, I have a flight in October, and I keep kind of going, maybe this trip isn't going to happen, because I do think it's going to happen pretty quickly in terms
Mhm.
of bigger issues with airplanes. I had heard, I haven't been able to fact check this, but I heard recently a statistic that we have about 40 days left of our oil reserve in the United States. And if that's the case, then think about World War III, which I think we're already in. We just haven't named
Mhm.
it out
Yeah.
loud yet
Yeah.
publicly. But our vehicles, our airplanes for fighting in a war are going to need gas. Well, what if you can't get gas?
Mm.
So I think that part of the airplane issues for commercial flyers could be that they ground a lot of the flights because they don't want to spend the fuel on it, because they need the reserves for
Mm.
the world war that we're in. So yeah, there's
That
lots
makes
of
sense.
layers.
Yes, and that's why I so wanted to talk to you, because I really wanna start more and more connecting the dots and showing how it's showing up, and even if we're looking at, let's say, the language or the lens, which is really to interpret through astrology or weave it in, and I share with others, make no mistake, this is happening. Astrology isn't creating this. That's just a language. This is already in full bloom. But yeah, because I was shown like you can fly on this time or not, or dates, and I do see, unfortunately, that the vaccine thing coming back around. I don't know if it's because of COVID or something else coming in, but it does
Yeah.
look like there is this kind of, if you need to fly like business or family or emergency, there is some kind of like stacking up when people can travel or to travel in certain areas. And it sounds like we're getting kind of the same or similar messages, that it can be also due to war or conflict, or they're going to say it's not safe to go there right now, or we've got this warning. And I do see them bringing people more in on it, like red warning, it's this warning. So, or like those in this zip code or this area can travel, but not this right now. So maybe it is because of the oil and the gas, or they're saying that. I definitely just see such a clamping down on our freedom, our rights, the censorship. One of the things I heard was like the guide said, "Look, what we showed you between 2011 and especially 2017, a lot of the bigger predictions came between 2017 and 2050 was what I got." They said that it's not um, stopped. It's some things have been delayed. And by the way, Dallisa, they said some of it's because of each of us, that we have made certain things happen not as extremely due to our consciousness raising and us not buying into the narrative, the polarity, extremes of polarity. They said there were certain things that were going to happen that may or may not, or are happening in a lesser way, or will happen in a lesser way, which one of them was what I later found out, the 5G cities. They called it the Technologists and the Naturalists, and they showed these very which some people will love, but these very controlled neighborhoods, cities, built, it first started as a neighborhood in a building, and then certain cities that were completely chipped, completely controlled, and you won't be able to get in. Some people will be able to get in and out, like if you're doing deliveries or doing certain things, but due to, again, the safety issue, there seemed to be a lot coming up about between homeless, criminal, people with mental health issues. And that was another thing I saw rise, that they showed a lot of the mental health will have to really be addressed in the next 20 years, and really understanding that, and also what comes from food. They told me food additives. Um, so I don't know. So maybe it is what you're saying with the conflicts or war, that, and the whole idea of the safety, and we have to monitor you or monitor this because of the safety issue.
Yeah. I've unfortunately seen more attacks happening on US soil that
Oh,
will be, from other countries, or people that have infiltrated the country. through the border or in other ways that they've come across. Some of them will be, you know, born and raised in the US, but have affiliations to other
Yeah.
countries. I saw visions of, I don't want to get your video taken down, so I'll be careful with how I word this, but people that wear vests that make things go
Yes.
boom. Okay.
Mhm.
I've seen more of that.
Yeah.
And this is why intuition becomes so incredibly important, and why we all need to lean into what we're feeling and sensing, because if we don't, and we're just kind of going blindly through life, it might feel like you're every day trying to go through an obstacle course. But if you've got your intuition really dialed in, and you're in a higher frequency, you're doing your meditations, you know, doing your healthy practices, you will sense when something is not right. And we're going to all have to trust that as a way to get us through the landmines.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, and it was interesting because the guides did show that it was mostly domestic, people that were here already that have been kind of gathering or gaining, momentum. But what's so interesting too, though, is you see all of this happening, but then at the same time, I was shown these amazing coming together and respites, right? And just, new products, new companies, new building, new ways of connecting, schools or, homeschooling or charter school changes in that this optimizing, through the healthcare system and nootropics and the peptides and all kinds of new things that are happening at the same time. And I think also that's another reason, to your point, that's going within, but also people to not get caught up in that unless that is part of your soul's purpose, which you would know. Um, you have to get very clear right now. I always share, people say, well, what about this? And I'm like, look, I know I'm not Doctors Without Borders. I'm not over there. That's not what I came in here to do. And that is a whole different world with people that signed up, for that. So I think it is important that what you're saying, that what are you here to do, and where do you feel that call or that calling? Because as things are getting dismantled, we're building up, we're bridging, we're the ones that are creating these new systems and companies and products. And I look at like a little lotus pad or lily pad for people to go to. There's that has to happen. I want to talk a little bit more because I really think what you said just kind of sparked me. I didn't think of it this way, that it just shows how consciousness, if we can all get this, and that's why I always use the mundane, example of comedy or music or fashion. No one really goes out and tells you what to buy. You see it. You see it on the street, you see it advertised, or you see it in social media, and it gains momentum. And so if those individuals didn't start buying that or liking that fashion or music, it wouldn't spread. And companies have seen that they can't make something. They used to be able to do it more back in the day, but now it's very difficult to make something artificially spread unless it's, kind of psyop stuff. But if we look at that trend, that the information, the new information or what's happening isn't going to come from the system or the company or the corporation. It's not going to come from what's organized in the street or externally. It's coming from these connections and conversations and what people are doing individually. And that has to do with that, like you said, which I didn't get. That makes so much sense because we're mitigating what can happen as we are raising our vibrational frequency, is what I'm hearing by what you're saying. So how do we get more people to know that and understand that?
I think it's conversations like this. And I heard you backstage talking about, you know, having conversations with the everyday person. I think it's a lot of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're talking about it and we're being very open about how our gifts work or what we're perceiving with our senses, then it begins to normalize the conversation. Um, And so, I've lived in places, several places in the US, and some places I've lived, people hear I'm a psychic medium. And I've literally had people say to me, well, I can't be seen with you. I can't
Mm.
let my friends know that I talk to you because they'll basically disown me. I didn't last very long in that city or town. Um, but I've gotten really used to just saying it out loud, even
Mhm.
when I think I might have somebody that doesn't agree with it or doesn't understand it, because even if they don't want to be around me or they don't want to have a conversation, that's fine. But I believe that even by sharing my truth and my experience in whatever way that comes forward, that it plants a seed in the back of their mind
Mm.
and they can think about it more and let that seed sprout and see where it goes. Maybe they're really religious and
Mhm.
they think that what I do is of the devil or I'm demonic, and so that seed starts sprouting. And for some people maybe it is their soul's path that they get deeper into religion and they try to cut out all the other noise and influence from other people or other ways of being. But maybe that person has that little sprout going and thinking, huh, Dallisa looks really normal. She
Yeah, exactly,
she
yeah.
she acts like a normal person. She doesn't seem like she's possessed by the devil. So, I wonder if there's like something in there that I'm supposed to explore to get me thinking more broadly than just the one mindset or belief I've had my whole life.
Mhm. Now, Delisa, do you think and feel when we speak it, do you think it's getting stronger or that signal? Is there strengthening or is it more planting seeds or is it both?
Well, I think it's I think it strengthens the vibration. It gets more spirituality in mainstream conversations. You see more and
Mm.
more even things about like how Taylor Swift likes numerology, right? Like
Mm,
we're
mhm,
getting more and more of it infused into everyday conversations. So I think that will be on the rise. But I also think that there's a big duality here on Earth, and that as we rise, I do think that the
yeah,
darker energy also rises. So it feels more and more like we're actually in and heading further into more of a spiritual warfare. The war itself, even though I referred to it as World War III, it actually feels energetically underneath that about a holy war. So it
yeah,
feels like more and more there's going to be organized religions or new religions slash cults and new ways of discussing spirituality and what we're sensing and getting. So it's kind of all of it, but I think it could look very loud and messy with the two different kind of broader camps of people, ones that believe in spirituality and frequency, those that don't, and where those might get into some conflicts. But I think, over the next couple of years, because I think the war gets really loud in early 27. So
mhm,
as it starts to amp up, I think that we're going to be faced with hard conversations about what do I believe? Why do I believe that? And seeing more headlines about um, organized religion and who believes in what. And if you don't believe in this, you're not a good person. So that's gonna, I think, unfortunately, getting a bit louder. So
mhm,
just know, like, if you're on social media and sharing things about spirituality or channelings, astrology, whatever it is, if you are on there sharing, which I'm all for sharing and putting content out, just know that it may get louder in the comment section about how you're a horrible person and you need to go read the Bible, Jesus needs to save your soul, whatever the story is. I think that's unfortunately going to get louder. And so I say that not to scare people or to tell you not to share, but it's almost like a little bit of a little flag I'm waving saying, this might come across your pathway. And if it does, maybe you'll decide you're going to double down and get louder about your
yeah,
beliefs and what you're seeing and sharing. But I think all of that lends to what so many of us have seen around civil war, civil discord, and people fighting amongst each other. So that wouldn't surprise me if it all just kind of goes into a boiling pot together. And for time frame, I would still go back to like I'd go back to, yeah, probably late September is what I'm hearing in my psychically in my
Mhm.
ear right now. Late September, October, November, even the holiday season this year, what
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah, in
sensing,
2027, right around this time, seems to
well,
be a lot of
this year,
yeah. No, I know you're saying where it
yeah,
starts.
yeah.
It's that another confirmation that's, again, why I wanted to speak with you is around 2011, 2012, people were worried about China, and I was shown, I said, "No, it's gonna be the Middle East." And the guide said, "It's really about religion. Underneath all that, it's not oil, it's not it's
Mhm.
not power, money, gold. They're playing out." But they said because got 2000 plus years ago, that's where our pattern came through, our relating pattern, the whole game. There are people that have to play that out, that whole narrative, as one way to clear that energy, to have a different pattern. Now, there are those of us that are creating a different relating pattern already based on that new, emerging consciousness and the frequency of that. So it's interesting that you say that. And I was shown, no, it's going to be the Middle East. And unfortunately, I won't even say, I don't even know the name. I'm not used to censoring because I wasn't on YouTube, but I don't know. That whole Israel, all of that's going to be coming up, and the
Mhm.
whole Middle East over there. And unfortunately, here and in Europe, there's an uprising. That's where I feel things are going to get really, it is going to be a mishy-mashy. I think that's the thing. That's the crux of it. But then we're going to have all these skirmishes, right? These uprisings and retaliations and retributions and fighting and pushing and pulling, kind of with these different sectors that are all within that extremes of the polarity, either side, pulling. But yeah, I was shown that as well. So that's interesting that, yeah, it's really about religion. The holy wars, and it was already predicted. So that's the other thing. They're ready for this. They tried to have it happen around the late 80s, a lot of this narrative, and even the barcodes for keeping track of us and the spending and the units, which will happen. We can even talk about that what we now know called as basic and income. The guide showed it as these units that people would get of money based on what you do in your life. You'd get so much, but they also showed that it's not that money was going away or resources, especially things in the ground: gold, silver, oil, food, water. Those things are great investments. Housing to some degree, but the staples coming back, really investing in that. But yeah, the holy war. So it has to be played out. There's no way to avoid it. They said it just there's so much prophecy and group agreement with these heads of state that have these particular religious beliefs and feel that the only way for the new, it's so interesting. We want the new coming in without the war. They feel the war is what brings,
Yeah.
right, Dallisa?
Yeah. Yeah. Two different paths to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want to go back to a point, if you don't mind, that you
Yeah,
made
please.
earlier, which was you called it, I think, the materialists and the
Oh, they
naturalists or
called it
something.
the technologist and the
Oh,
naturalist.
yeah.
And the naturalists would be remote viewing, we would lose our ego, we would be more soul, um, so not conditioned, and telepathic, intuitive, psychic, this whole, and then the technologists are trying to do that from technology. So there would become this split. It's some kind of in the middle, but a very divergent split. And those are the ones that are going to want those 3G or 5G, the cities. It's going to be more than
Hmm.
5G, but the very high level technological, keep me safe, heavy patrolled, let me go to Mars, let me Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the same thing with the split. So they showed me that there would be a lot of people, and it could even start to happen, towards later in this year, but more so next year. They're showing me 2028 as well. So I'd say probably the next couple of years, people more and more leaving even towns, even smaller towns, and trying to get farther out where they have land that they can
Yes.
build on, even if it's just a trailer or
Mhm.
a tiny house. Like, I've been feeling that so strongly
Me as
because
well.
yeah, because it feels like there's going to be a lot on the table around the tracking, the
Yes.
surveillance state, people literally being chipped, and that there's going to be a rise in people that say, I absolutely want
Yeah.
nothing to do with any of that. And they're going to go off and start almost like their own little villages that people can
Yes.
live in and
Yes.
grow their
I was shown
food.
that as well.
Yeah, completely
And
off
some
grid.
yeah, and some people, what's interesting, some people have told me even on the, when we were doing the audio live stream, "Oh, who would wanna be chipped?" Listen, years ago, I was in a Starbucks, I kid you not, I was waiting in line, and the guy in front of me, 2 guys, 20 something, little techie cutie, very ner and the guy had his phone and he's like, "Oh, I can't wait till you just have a chip in your wrist and you just swipe it. You don't have to carry a wallet anymore." So, gang, we may not want to do it. There are plenty of people that are just like, yippee, I don't have to, I just show up and swipe. Yeah, that was one of the things. If we can talk about this more, because, well, first of all, one thing that you said is, I feel so important. I hope people really digest this. We are going to have to decide whether you verbalize it or not. What do you believe in? What is your world? Or do you believe in clearing, do manifest, you're creating something, you make a difference by what you're doing, no matter how small. I mean, our beliefs are really going to be called into question, and we're not going to be able to wobble, like be in the middle. It's like you are this and you believe this, or you are this. So there is this kind of striation, definitely, that's kind of like a demarcation line that's coming as well. But yeah, I was shown with the technologists these cities, and which is interesting because I had some clients, still have them, but they were buying up in 2008, trying to buy up a lot of property. And already back then, BlackRock was, and it was actually was 2007, but then 2008, when the crash happened, BlackRock was already buying up a lot of property, blocks and blocks. And that was why that 2008, that whole mortgage and lending, people couldn't refinance or get a better mortgage, and their houses were swooped up. Well, apparently that's been going on more and more. And those places are slated for these, I don't know what you want to call it, technologist cities, very highly surveilled cities. And then I was also shown certain, and you may not be able to get in there. That was the thing the guide said, what's going to happen with the technologists and the naturalists if you don't have these certain provisions, the passport, the travel, whatever it's going to be called, you may not be able to go in certain cities, or certain times, or go into these buildings, or have this kind of security, because it is going to be highly surveilled, highly foot patrol and technological. And they did show me these amazing, like, little villages starting, communities, cities taken over, but you're out, out in more countryside, where people were having, having more of their own food and just really not wanting to buy in. But part of it is they wanted to, but also part of it, like, to your point, it came to a point where, oh, I'm not going to go more in that direction. And so there's so much not available. I don't know if you were shown this as well, but I did see certain states succeeding,
Hmm.
and Canada and the United States coming together more, north and south, California. So I was seeing that the landscape, or a lot of geographical changes, obviously due to weather and certain things happening, which already happened, which they showed me Malibu. I saw that in a vision in 2017. I thought it was attrition. It turned out it was the fire, but I was telling my friends, "Oh, there's no houses anymore. There, it's like, clear." But then the states, due to like, this is a city that's based on this narrative. This is a city that's based on that, or so it seems like there's a lot of this separating out, which ultimately looks, if you think of Aquarian energy at the highest level, at the other end of this, it's very great. It is wonderful because more people that are like-minded in purpose and how they want to live will come more together. That's on the other side of it. It seems like that's where we're, as the oversouls are leading us, God in Kaj is leading us towards that area. Because the way it is now and is going to be, it's not as rewarding because you have these narratives out there in the world, especially in social media or advertising, of what is success or what's supposed to make you happy. And more people are saying, but that's not what I want. That never was, or that's not me. So I do feel we're going to find our places where, that is me, or I like sitting down, having this coffee and conversation. And that's, to me, true meaning and purpose. So I think the story is changing. And again, that's Uranus and Gemini, the narrative, the beliefs, but our story, our soul story, how our individual and collective story is changing. And to your point, it does cause the conflict on all levels, especially the religious.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in LA a couple days before the fire started.
Oh, you
And
were?
I was there recording an episode on Lee Harris's podcast. And so I went down to his studio in Southern California, and I was so uneasy after doing the interview because that was at the first part of my trip. And I looked at flights. I was like, I got to get out of here. Like, I just feel like I can't be here right now. And I love Southern California. And so I almost booked the flight to leave. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to plan a couple things for my birthday, because my birthday did happen while I was out there. So I planned a few things and then went to the Getty Villa, which houses so many artifacts and fine art. And I fly home, and a couple days later, the fires start. I'm like, okay, so this is why. And why I was feeling so uneasy. And on the news, it showed the Getty Villa that I was just at, and how the fire was quickly approaching the entrance of the Getty Villa, and how that team that worked there was trying so hard to keep the fire away from the building and the artifacts and everything. But yeah, so that I have chills even as I tell that story. It was such a weird experience. But I have seen, to your point, the map changing. So they said that the lines on the map would change, and that there would be new lines drawn for the states in the US. And yeah, it could get a little bit weird with Canada and Mexico for a bit. And I think the US is currently fighting with Canada over tariffs. But when World War III starts approaching the borders of North America, and they're doing things inside of our countries, I think we'll have more of a willingness to come together.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And Find Joy in Nature will answer that question in a minute. I do feel that it's interesting. A lot is, because I used to think, and I lived in Europe before, and I've had people say, well, you seem like you're getting a lot of stuff in the United States happening. Well, I do feel a lot is happening in the United States. It seems to be the key place for many reasons. I think also that entrepreneurial, exploring kind of resilient spirit is definitely here very much. We're not dealing with a lot of the Saturnian, the old paradigm structures that are still very much in place. And, and I will share, one of the things, one of my teachers and then later friend, Rachel, was friends for, I don't know, 30 plus years, and also did psychic readings for Ted Gunderson, who was a ex FBI, director of California. I met him. He was retired already, and by that time. But he used to get readings and stuff, and I gave him some readings and talked to him. But one of the things he told me was that the big target would be the United States to tear down or take down, because we are so resilient. So many entrepreneurs. It's our mindset. We have a much different mindset. So he also told me, if you're in groups, don't put your email or your personal information. He said, we've either started the group that you think is alternative and oppositional, or we've already infiltrated it. So I got a lot of sometimes share with you, but I got a lot of information from him. But I thought that was interesting, because every time I tune in, and even when I tune in Europe, it's not that those things aren't happening in Europe already. In fact, so much our resiliency has kept, and frankly, Trump getting in, the censorship that England is having, we are going to get it, but we got delayed. So we keep getting these delays due to our resiliency. And I do believe what you said, Dallisa, our level of consciousness, something we're all doing. And I think that's why 3i Atlas had come to me. I channeled the information, and they said, you've got to make contact with each other, really connect and communicate and share. And that, by doing that, you're changing the trajectory a bit. And I think that's one of the things that whoever you want to say is controlling, or the narrative or steering, I like to say steering because I don't want to be at all malevolent, doesn't necessarily want us to know that. It's kind of like when you work for someone, I have a lot of clients that work in corporations, and a lot of times they're like, well, I'm the one that really does the stuff for the boss. I'm the one, and he or she's getting all the credit. And I'm like, yeah, and why aren't they bringing it up? I go, because as soon as they bring it up, you're going to want that raise, or you're going to want their job. They're keeping you disempowered by not acknowledging your power and how you're helping and your gifts. I said, so it's up to you to acknowledge that. If you want to stay, fine, but acknowledge, hey, I did do this. Or, hey, bossy, I'm glad you like what I did. I gave you, you acknowledge you. So I think we're moving into that phase where we have to start realizing, yeah, we do have power individually and then as a collective in numbers by what we start doing, that it is actually making real change. That we do individually have this power. And again, I think that's at Pluto, which deals with power, in Aquarius, that energy that each of us has individually, especially those of you that are under the radar. Because I'm going to tell you, having talked to different government people, and I am not a government, I was on a podcast and someone said, it sounds like Michelle's a government, operative. It's just, my life, I've been around a lot of different kinds of people, and it's, and you might even know, and especially as a model and actress, and then especially as a psychic channel or a medium, people kind of tell you a lot. They open up to you. And also they don't necessarily try to mess with you because they're a little off put by you, by what you do. So you might not get not to say I never got any sexual advances, but you don't get as many because she's weird. You know what I mean? It's like they're not really going to want to, do certain things, but they'll open up to you and tell you things, or you're just privy to things. But I think it keeps going back to that individual. What are we doing as an individual? What are we doing individually in this coming together in these kind of conversations?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
And we're transmitting, right? We're transmitting this energy. Our signal, what we emit and bring in, is getting stronger. Yeah, so that's interesting. You saw that too as well. Now, Dallisa, do you think also in the transmission, okay, Arch is getting stronger or signaling. Is that partially what's raising the frequency then?
With our channeling?
Yeah. Our channeling and coming together and talking.
Yeah, I think the awareness makes the frequency go higher.
Mhm.
So yeah, so the more we talk about it and the more we come together, it amplifies it. I always talk about like when I teach a group class, it's like come and be a part of the group class, even if it's online, because all of our energy coming together really multiplies the frequency. So we can get so much more accomplished. We can have more visions and channelings when we're coming together because the frequency is growing exponentially.
Mhm. And I like what you said. I want to pin this so people listening later or watching this later can. You said the flags. Yes, we're doing this flags, notices, signs, breadcrumb, whatever you want to call it. So you see this stuff happening, you don't worry or get freaked out. It's like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. This is what I'm doing. You kind of see what's unfolding, but perhaps don't get thrown off, by it. I, like you with the fires, I had clients and I urged them to leave because I did see a big fire and also a sinkhole, which there later was a sinkhole in Topanga, and they just covered it. And I told a few of my clients, I said, well, you want to move anyway, because that sinkhole, you can't just cover it. It's going to come back. And that's your
Yeah.
main road, right, Dallisa? It's your main road. Okay, let's answer this. This is okay. I'd love to hear Dallisa's thoughts on this too. As you both see these things, I know you try to stay out of the polarities, but where do you see yourselves fitting in?
Mm-hmm. I can tell you what I've been having visions of.
Woo,
Me in a tiny house. I just feel like I want to be out of the noise. I want
yeah.
to be out of the fighting. And sometimes that means you kind of have to go further out where there's some open land
Mhm.
that you
I've been
can just
feeling that.
have. Yeah. Um, so that's where I see myself is I already live in a really beautiful area of the United States. I'm in North Idaho and it's gorgeous up
Mm,
here
okay.
and a lot of natural resources like
Mhm.
trees and
Mountains. Is
rivers
there
and
hill
lakes and
mountains? Is there mountains and
mountains.
hill? Okay,
Yep.
there are. Yeah.
We have everything. So this is a place where if I had to get on my bike and bicycle somewhere to get water, I could. If I needed
Mhm.
firewood, I could find it, right? So um I was very intentional moving here. I have family members that moved here. And I thought,
Mm,
you know what? It's probably not a bad idea based on all these channelings I'm getting. So, but I still am part of a community, I'd say altogether where I live. There's probably about 60,000 people. But I'm even having visions of like getting farther out where there's maybe one road in, one road out, and just kind of tucking myself away. Not
mhm,
because I'm scared. I'm actually not scared of anything I've had visions of, but I just want to protect my own peace more. And if
mhm,
that means that I need to go even into a more remote area, I'm absolutely willing to do that because my sanity and peace is worth that.
mhm. Yeah, I would agree. I've been envisioning that, and I've been spending some time in Europe in different, it's funny because people are like, "I didn't know you'd like these little villages, Michelle." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, years ago, I lived twice in Europe. One time I was in Paris, but my greatest joy was in this little village, um, just north of the border of Spain and Sangodan. The Pyrenees were there, and I was like, a friend of mine, his sister made bread in the hearth and cooked. Had this little, I don't know. I think my Taurus moon something. I don't know. Or every past. I love all those old, movie Bridgerton, Queen Victoria. The Empress. I mean, I just love all. I can superimpose myself, in that. Um, and how about and with the work that you do, your work, your service, your creativity, your soul expression. Do you see that changing, and if so, how?
It's definitely changed a lot already this year. So I started doing this work 11 years ago. And earlier this year, Spirit started telling me, basically stop making world predictions
Mm,
because the message was it's activating a lot of fear in people, and that fear frequency is bringing their frequency down. And so be very, very mindful anytime you talk about, world predictions. So I've sat with that a lot and kind of thought, well, what do I want to do with my work then? Because frankly, I've probably said on a podcast somewhere everything I've had as these channeled visions of the future and what we're up against. So I feel like I kind of gotten it all out. And now we're just going through the process of what the channelings have shown. And so for my work, it feels more like I call myself a psychic coach, where it's helping people sort through quitting their job or starting the business or navigating a relationship challenge, like using my psychic abilities to help you navigate and build the bridges where you need to build the bridges in your life to get to where you ultimately want to be. And the other piece of it that I started this year is called the Psychic Case Files Project. And I'm crowdsourcing psychics, mediums, astrologers, card readers. We all focus on the same case at the same time. And we've worked on 2 cases together now. One was on a woman that went missing, I think 21 years ago in Wyoming. We worked on that together. And then we are finishing up working on a mysterious death, a 23-year-old that died under very mysterious events. And that was in Illinois. And so we're wrapping that one up. And then we're getting ready to actually work on the Nolan Wells case. And so I'll be putting out different information on my Substack and key questions that we're all going to tune in together and try to make a difference. So it'll be weaving in lesser known cases and then ones that are more widely known in the public domain. So it's headquartered over on Substack, but I do put out the audio version of the podcast, and that'll start in September. And more content on YouTube around it. So yeah, my work has changed, and the direction I'm going in certainly has. Have you found that your work has shifted too?
Oh yeah, even coming onto YouTube and a few weeks ago and getting the conversation and weaving in, because my predictions, and part of it is to be under the radar because I've been doing this a while. So a lot of comes through, and it can be scary. Some people don't want to know. So I always felt give it in a way that I could also guide what to do about it, what to do. But I like what you said with the flags, because I think more people, in some small way or more controlled way, need to know what's coming up and what to do. Because I had so many people say, oh, I didn't freak out because Michelle said this was going to happen and it happened and she didn't see this or that, or, this or that. So they kind of kept on. Definitely not into the sensational clicks about it, but getting that out. But I've always kind of worked with people to help them bridge and build, and working more with these third wave visionaries that are creating the new wave. And similar to what you're doing, I mean, that's why I really wanted to connect with you, because I thought, wow, we need to amplify this, just have these connections, especially by what I see, especially starting next year. I just feel there aren't enough voices of people that have actually had visions or seen what's happening or been able to do, receive predictions. There's just not a lot out there that could actually start guiding people or help them look for, instead of looking for what's dissolving, breaking down, or scary, let's look at what's awakening, what's coming together. What are you bridging? Where are you bridging and building? That's because I'll be honest, I've always had I've had faith. I've trusted my predictions and visions. I mean, even 9/11, I was supposed to be flying, and I didn't. 2 weeks, I canceled my trip because I had these dreams I was being blown out of a plane and other people were. So I was like, it's funny, my therapist at the time said, Michelle, it's anxiety. I said, no, I like turbulence on a plane. It's like a carnival ride. No, I don't know what this is, but I'm just not going to fly. So I think to just have these meaningful conversations, and I'll wait to see. I'm in a change point. I don't know really what it is. I've got some ideas. I've been doing some sound healing transmission work with a couple of beautiful contemporaries, colleagues, where some more of my shamanic abilities come in, and transmitting and working that way. As far as with the question of also stay out of polarity, I don't think I stay out of polarity. I think I'm in the middle of the center of it. I kind of just, after the predictions of 2017 and everything happening as I was shown, and everything happening now as I was shown, my faith is stronger. So I'm not, like Dallisa said, I'm really not scared, which is interesting. You'd think you'd be more, but I don't know, it just strengthened my faith somehow. I just feel like polarity is the way things we create or manifest: hot, cold, right? Masculine, feminine, so I see myself more in the center, and I kind of know and feel that certain things are meant to happen, and certain things are, why did I get to do certain things and not certain things? Well, so I kind of, yeah, I don't see myself on one end or the other. In fact, I don't really, it's weird. That's such a good question. Cause I don't know about you, Delete. I don't really see, if I step back and look at human eyes, I see, yes, there's one side and another side. And there's all of this fighting and in between, or I don't agree. I agree, this and that. But if I kind of just relax and watch it, I just go, oh, they're playing this out. This scene, this scenario, this wounding. Some I like, some is a little scary, some I don't like, but I just see it as something kind of necessary that's happening. What I more see is what we need to do, what inspires me. Or going in the countryside, or what more, that's kind of more I'm more seeing the coming together. And that's why I so much wanted to have Dallisa back on, is like, I just think it's just, this is the proof. This is showing this connection, this conversation, and the choices Dallisa is making, with her gifts and what she does, because she has her own path, even though she's seeing all this other stuff and helping people, she has to be, fulfilled as well. So yeah, I don't know if that, oh yeah, observe. That's a good point. Yeah. Being in that witness or the detached observer, and help understand. And I can understand both sides. That's why I started saying, maybe a year ago, not that long, maybe it was only this beginning of this year, these are not all malevolent forces. I'm like, okay, guys, everybody has an idea. Okay, you try to be a prime minister or a president. I could barely manage stuff I have going. You try to manage a company and a corporation. So yeah, I think we have to realize it's not all malevolent. It could be wounding. It could be ignorance. Yes, power struggles, living, you want to call that. I don't really, as a therapist, believe in evil. I think it's wounding. It's horrible. Some horrible, horrible things we can't even imagine. But as Dr. Gerald Jampolsky, I love this quote. He said, everything is either a cry for love or an expression of love, even if it's twisted. Yeah, it's amazing. Wow. San Diego area, isn't that amazing? Everything is either a cry for love or an expression of love. So I kind of, I have my opinions, and I can get ego-y and think this is wrong, or they're not involved in this and that and that. But at the end of the day, that's like a little me, a little horn. Me. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter let's see, what do we have? What is it? Yes, that's what Michelle did in 2020 predictions, pieces, yet really reaching us to our intuition, trust one's instincts. Plus, we don't want to focus on the fear, but the hope. Yeah. That's what I really respect and admire about you, Dallisa, is you, even the last conversation we had, you focused on, well, going within, but the hope, or what's being created, not on what is being dismantled.
Yeah, keep your eye on the prize. Fear or faith, you can't be in both at the same time. And faith is going to be a higher frequency. And so if you feel like you're afraid of something, then try to ask yourself, how could I lean more into faith? Whatever faith you want in either a higher being or yourself or your highest part of your soul. But if you're leaning into faith, then it really can't pull you into fear. And if it does, then you can recalibrate and recenter. But Yeah, I don't think there's anything to fear here on Earth School. This is all temporary anyways. This is a movie like the Truman Show that we're acting out and playing parts for each other. So I know that it's much bigger than even just this incarnation.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
even when we pop out of these physical bodies and go to the next frequency and dimension, cool. Like let's see what awaits us there. So this just feels so temporary to me that I
Mm,
really try not to get too wrapped up in anything that will keep me held down or will keep me scared. I'd really try to strive for that faith and that peace. And if I don't
mhm,
feel that way, there's something inside of me that's bothered.
mm,
Well, I'm going to
mhm.
lean into that with curiosity and ask myself, like, why am I upset about this? Because I'll have the answer if I sit with it long enough, and then I
Yeah.
can work on forgiving that or healing that part of myself. And once you hear it and you ask yourself, like, why am I scared? And you talk it out, even just that act of talking it out and acknowledging it, it helps to transmute the energy so much that you can really get back into that higher frequency of faith pretty easily.
Mhm. And it sounds like well, you know what to do, what you're meant to do. That sounds like that is very helpful during this time.
Yeah, I've seen it as holding a flashlight for people in dark caves, and that I'm not going to tell you exactly what you have to do because I think that's very disempowering. But I can certainly grab your hand and hold the flashlight and tell you what I'm seeing and help guide you in a way that feels less burdensome or less catastrophic. So yeah, I really like helping people get to where they ultimately want to go. And I think anything's possible. I think even through everything that we've talked about and what's going to be coming up, um, we still can dream, we can still activate our visions,
Mhm.
we can make really great lives for ourselves, but it's going to take that dedication each and every day to keep ourselves settled in that frequency of faith. And I'm not so big of a person on the word hope because I think to me hope feels so passive. Like,
Mm.
oh, I'm going to hope that that happens. It's like, no, no, no. Like Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. It's like, let's go get it. Like if you want it,
Mhm.
let's go get it. And sometimes people need a little bit of accountability and a little bit of hand holding to take the steps they need to get there. But anytime somebody says, I hope that everything is going to be okay, it's like, no, decide it's
Yeah,
going to be okay because the decision lives within you.
yeah. Sometimes I think hope is that first step, and then you get to decide. Sometimes, it's like, that can get you going. Um, to share your point here, I feel like that why this is such a crucial time is that we are meant to be we are the creator beings or creator cells, upon this beautiful, amazing, interesting landscape. So we need to people need to hear the message, even though whatever's going on, you're meant to dream, you're meant to manifest, create, attract, join with others, love, do that's what's actually going to gain traction, and that's where the bridging and building is. So that's and I'm so glad that you said that because I feel that's the message that more and more needs to be relayed is even though all this other stuff is happening, it doesn't mean you stop. It's even more reason to dream again or dream bigger or join with others or, have children, love, which by the way, I do see an increase in births. I was um, Barbie, and then we'll get to have Dallisa answer this. Is it possible to awaken to a point where the chaos gets bypassed? I'll
Yeah,
answer
I
first. Yeah, well,
well,
chaos
go
is
ahead.
part of create. Well, it's chaos is part of it's. I look at it random access energy. It's so much random. It's not serialized energy. It's not put into form. So I think that interpretation. A lot of people think the chaos, all the upheaval, is part of the creation or what happens before there's new order. It's kind of like cleaning out your closet. It looks chaotic when you take everything out and put it back in. Um, but I think you can have less chaos in your life, definitely individually, um, So I don't know what your thought is on that, Dallisa. I'd love to hear what you have. It could be the same or different than me. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, well, I think the word observe that Find Joy in Nature posted, I would agree with that, because I think if we're the observer, then we don't have to bring that energy inside of ourselves. So if we're observing the chaos, we can appreciate what that chaos is destroying and what it is creating, but we don't have to pull that into our own individual being and have it run through our lives. So I I don't like the idea of bypassing. I'm I'll be like a huge cheerleader for like feel what you feel, understand why you feel it, and then you can, keep moving forward, because I think our emotions and our feelings, and even if that is fear or being scared, or being shameful or whatever the lower frequencies are, I think those are blessings. I think when they come in and we feel those and we don't want to feel those, whatever they are, there's something in there that your soul's asking for you to investigate more into. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of the camp of like, let's not bypass anything. We came
Mm-hmm.
here to learn and to grow and evolve our souls. And so when we have those things that aren't that pretty that we're feeling or we're saying to ourselves or we're experiencing, it's like, let's double down there and get clear on why that's coming up. And the more you do that, and maybe you work with somebody like me or a coach or whoever, it's like that you can really start to neutralize the energy. So now, when things are happening around you or in your life, you're not feeling them like you were before. Now you can be in a greater state of observation and more than noticing of like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why that conversation happened. Or I wonder why I'm feeling that way today. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
feeling like, oh my gosh, something's falling apart. Like I have to fix this. We can actually get much quieter and go within to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, and one thing too with the chaotic energy, because I think that the people look at the chaos as so much as happening all at once, but you can actually maximize that energy by using it to create with, not getting pulled in or caught up in the story of it, like Delisa is saying. I so agree with that. Before things are too, because I'm telling you, and it sounds like Delisa has been seeing the same thing, things are going to get pretty clamped down where it's not going to feel chaotic. It's going to feel clamped, a bit rigid, a bit constrained. So right now, while there is a lot of confusion or you can maximize what you want to do. You have just, it's almost like if if there's a lot of noise in one room or one area and people are distracted by that, you could be busy over here expressing, experiencing, exploring, trying out new things, creating, bridging, building, get that product out, that recording, that whatever you want to do. And then you're using that energy. You're not getting pulled into it. You're taking that, metaphysically, you're taking that energy and using it, because we have a lot of downtime right now too. That's another thing. There's more time to do stuff. So yeah, that okay, this is interesting. Dr. Monica Moody. Will there be places outside the US that would enjoy more peace during the next few years of disruption here?
The way I've seen it is like I couldn't tell you a certain country is like a green flag go, because the way that it's been shown to me is like there'll be pockets
That's
pretty
what, oh
much
my God, Delisa.
everywhere.
That's what I always say. Pocket. You have to trust your intuition. Oh my God. Okay. You heard
Yeah.
it here. Ditto, ditto confirmation. I use the exact phrase pockets because everyone was asking me 2019, 20 to 2020, where should we move? Where is it safe? So how will you know, Dallisa? Because that's the next question. Because it's pockets. You can't say.
Yeah. I would trust I would first say, okay, narrow it down to a few places. Like if you really want to move, okay, move. But I would go and visit a few places and try to not treat them as vacations, but try to treat it like you're living there. Like go to the local grocery store, drive around the local streets and see what it feels like for you to be actually in that space energetically, and make sure that while you're on the trips looking at each place, take some quiet time, like maybe go sit in a park or go sit with a tree, or if it's near water, like go sit near the water and really just breathe and meditate and notice how you feel in that
Mm.
place. I'd much rather tell a client, for example, go live where you feel the most happiness and the most flow, or the most,
Mm.
the feelings of being content. Like, I would rather you move there than move to a place that you statistically think or logically think would be a safer location for you. Because if you're in a place that has that frequency of flow, it's probably going to naturally be a frequency booster for you. So your intuition is going to be higher. And so you'll be able to sense things in that town or in that area far greater than if you just move somewhere that you feel like you had to move to because it might be safer. So I'd actually
Mhm.
choose the place that feels more aligned.
Okay, I like that. So kind of intuition, feeling, and you feel flow, joy. Yeah, I like that. I think that's because it is individual. You could be, I was in the thick of so much of what happened in 2020, but I had amazing, and my friends we had amazing time. People came together in community. We snuck in places that were supposed to be closed. And I love that. My Scorpio side is like, ooh, I love this is cool. So yeah, I like that. The pockets. I love that. Cause that's what I always say. It's gonna be, and that's what I was shown. Pockets, you can't, and I wonder why that is. You have any idea that it is pocket? It's like bits and pieces. And you could even see it on a psychic map. There's certain areas that are more light or lit up. And then next could be a really kind of dark place.
Yeah, I
But
think
and
it's
but the
oh,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know. What do you think? I don't know. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because there's going to be so much coming at the world from all different directions, whether it's war or an attack or a natural disaster or a riot or whatever it is. Like, there's going to be so many things happening that it's going to touch a lot of different places. So I think that's why psychically the map looks like there are just little pockets that are
Mhm.
lit up that feel safer to live in. So a suggestion of mine would be, now people can do this for themselves if they feel, psychically inclined, or they can, go to me or you or whoever. And something I really like doing is asking the client, okay, you've got 3 places you're interested in living. And all in my mind's eye, actually pull up the 3 places, and I will notice first what number 1 to 100, how they rank, 100 being the highest in terms of a good place for them to live. And then once I know
Mm.
the highest one, then I'll take that town and we can drill down even deeper as to why it scored that high, things to look
Mm.
out for, what your home or your apartment could look like. So I like to approach it with, let's put all the options that you're thinking about, but let's look at it energetically to see what's actually ranking high.
I like that. I like that. And then you still recommend that people would go there and kind of feel it out, see the resonance and how the flow is for them there.
I would, because sometimes we get wrapped up in a story of what we hope it is,
Oh,
and
wow.
we don't we don't really have what it's going to be like when we're there. So if you can make it happen, I would go there in person. If you can't get there in person before you move, you could tune into photos of the
Mm.
location and just see what you're sensing and feeling, or do the scale of 1 to 100 and see what's coming up for you on that. But yeah, I think it's worth investing. Even if you can only go to each place for 1 or 2 nights,
Mhm.
I still think it's worth it
Mhm.
because I would set the intention before you go. Spirit, take my blindfolds off. I want to see very
Mhm.
clearly what it would be like if I were to live here,
Mhm.
because you don't want the blindfolds on. You don't want to treat it like it's a vacation where, usually vacations are really good. I want you to treat it like I want to see this exactly for what it is, the good, the bad, the everything in between. and help me to feel inside of myself what I feel like when I'm here. And so I'd ask spirit for help with that before you go.
I love that. My God, that's a great idea. And then you're also in that, you're tuning and aligning. You're also in alignment. And then I would imagine you would see more clearly by doing that. That's such a great idea. That's because I feel a lot of people moving, and I've been talking to, I feel like we're going to have another kind of mass exodus where people are moving around. And we always get asked that question, which I always do agree with you. They need to go there, see, feel it out, see if it's in alignment, the energy. But I like you setting it up that way. I think that's so powerful that, because to me, that's already, you're putting in that observer witness. You're already kind of getting out of what you said, that the story of what it, might be, or you think it's going to be. And by the way, I don't know if you saw, so many people that kind of did the mass exodus in 2020, especially in a little bit 2021, had that boom, what kind of little rude awakening. They moved places that were not the right place. And it's funny because so many, I thought, oh, I'd love to be on that island, or they're there. And then I'd hear back from them and go, oh my God, it was horrible. The food, I couldn't get fresh food. I was, but I'm seeing their Instagram pics. I'm like, oh God, laying in the hammock, the water. And they're like, yeah, you can't get the fruit and vegetables, this, that, or whatever. So, oh, Dallisa, what's inspiring you most right now? And kind of, you said curiosity a minute ago, about being curious about these times that you've chosen to come back into. Anything right now in the earth plane kind of got you excited or inspired?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always leaning into my curiosity. I think asking the right question at the right time of ourselves and of other people can unlock all kinds of new information that can help us along this journey being a human. So I'm always about asking really good questions. Yeah, and speaking of that, I've been interviewing people for my YouTube and my Substack, and I just got done interviewing Dr. Raymond Moody, and
Mm,
that episode's gonna come out, in September, and he's the
okay.
one that coined near-death experiences
Yeah.
and
Moody Institute, right? Chicago, right? Isn't he in Chicago?
uh,
Or
but I don't
was?
know if
I
he's
thought,
connected to that, I'm not sure. I didn't see
oh,
that in
okay.
his bio, but maybe,
I think he is. Yeah, from a long, long time ago. Older gentleman,
oh,
right?
yeah, he's
Yeah.
82.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, so
with the elders.
I asked him all about his research and patterns, and very, very interesting conversations. So I've got the video with my editor, and it'll come out in September. But yeah, those are the kinds of things that are lighting me up right now. I mean, I love teaching and working with clients, but I really like when I can get a really good question and sit with that question and see what comes up.
Mhm. And you just kind of meditate, contemplate on it, or just think about it and go throughout your day and then see what comes up?
I usually get a little bit more specific. So if if it's like I'm gonna be interviewing someone, I do like to think about what direction I wanna take the conversation and what questions they may not have been asked 20 times previously. So I sit with that a lot. When it comes to questions about myself or something that I might be feeling, that's where I get a little bit more specific, where I ask what 3 or which of the 3 core energies is activating inside of me. And the 3 core energies are approval, safety, and control. So when I'm upset about
Mm.
something, I ask, okay, is this me trying to get approval or feel loved or feel worthy? And I don't feel that way right now. Is this me feeling like I'm unsafe in some way about this? So that's the safety one. And the third one is there something about this that's making me feel like I'm out of control, but I actually want to have control? And just that process of identifying which one or two of those, um, of what I'm experiencing and feeling, I can start to unpack that a little bit more and give whatever I feel like I'm lacking, giving it to myself
Mm.
instead.
Mm. Beautiful. That seems to be an important theme and skill set coming up, is this giving to ourselves. not
Yeah.
waiting for the other. And during this time, whether individually, in your own individual path, or what you see works for you or for others, what are some of the ways, or way that perhaps even stands out to you to navigate this time? I mean, we've talked a lot about what's coming up, and different ways of navigating, and we've got to share, which is exciting for me. Um, but what are you seeing in your own life? And you work with so many people. What are some things that kind of jump out at you, that you're noticing? Oh, that's working. That's helping.
I think slowing down. I think instead
Mm,
of leaning into a hustle and a grind, I think the more that we can actually have quiet time by ourselves where we're not using some kind of numbing agent, whether it's drugs, alcohol, video games, shopping, the more that we can sit with ourselves and just ask ourselves, like, how am I feeling today? What did
mm,
I really enjoy about today? What would I have done differently next time? And really just allowing that space and that time. I'm seeing that people get the most personal gratification from doing that, and they feel like they really are in tune with themselves and with the world around them. And so I'd say, just like the Hermit card in the tarot deck, like
mm,
give yourself some time to lean into your own wisdom, and I think you'll notice that you feel a lot better afterwards.
mm. It's interesting. This month we are in a 54/9 cycle, numerology cycle, and it is the cycle of the Hermit. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. So really, the slowing, is it is it because we're going to receive some input or insight, or is it an energetic thing? What is that doing? Do you find
When we're by ourselves,
the slowing down you're talking
yeah,
about? Yeah.
it creates space. So
Okay.
energetically, it feels like spaciousness. And when you're
Mm,
breathing and just with yourself, you can create more space, like taking deeper breaths and not asking for other people's opinions. And you can just be with yourself and ask a few of those questions and get curious about your day or the next day that you're going to have. And you'll feel lighter. You'll feel
mm,
like I don't have to have myself plugged into so many things. I really can just be.
mhm.
Yeah.
So do you find you get the truth? There's
I think you
a
do
truth is
get,
coming through? More truth?
yeah. I think you get more truth that's aligned with you. Sometimes
Mhm,
we could say, "Oh yeah, that's the truth," when someone tells us that's what we should do or that's what we should think. But when it's just us and we're just left with our own thoughts and our own observation of ourselves and our feelings, I think the truth comes in a more subtle way. Like we
mhm,
start to feel like we have little breakthroughs and we feel like we're following more of an inspiration that we're getting inside of ourselves. So if you're confused about something, I would say get time by yourself and tune into what your heart wants. And really, that happens when you can get some alone time.
mhm. And I can tell you live this. You
Yeah.
live this, Dallisa. I love that. Yeah. I love what you've shared. I really do. I just tickled and an honor to, connect with you and share and get some more insights and share what's happening. I just for selfishly for myself, but also I just think it's so important that voices like yours are amplified, even with what you see coming up, because you are dealing with it differently. You're not stopping and fighting and getting, you're still doing, you have that presence, and you're still doing what you want to do or love to do, and you're still being
Yeah.
guided. And I'm just hoping more people that are watching and then listening to this later when it's uploaded to the podcast platforms kind of get that message and don't stop. And if you've stopped, start living again, start believing, trying, dreaming, get, like you said, get curious, try out new things. It is the time to initiate new things, no matter what the state of the world looks like, because it could be very different. I mean, quickly everything could just get into a wonderful big breakthrough or order. We don't know. We're very powerful beings here, so I don't know. We we might be cooking up something pretty special for each of us. Anyway, in winding down, anything that you would like to share or for us to know, and also ways that people can connect with you further?
Yeah, I have a couple of things to mention. One is a free gift on my website that I just put out, and people are really, really loving it. It's a tarot birth card guide, and you go through the guide totally free, and you match up your birthday with a major arcana card in tarot and a minor arcana card. And then I walk you through how to journal on it, how to get more information on it. But people have been sharing that the cards are very, very accurate for kind of a life theme that they've been working through. So that's over at spiritandspark.com. That's my website. And then the other thing, I do one question tarot reports for people. Like they can send in a question, and it's my most popular thing that I offer.
Mm.
And so that's over at yourtarotreport.com. And if you are a listener of your show, Michelle, you can use the code podcast22 at checkout, and it'll give you $22 off your report. So
very cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Podcast.
And where is that at?
That's at yourtarotreport.com.
Okay.
And then at checkout, you'll see at the bottom, it'll say, do you have a coupon code? Click that and enter podcast 22.
Did I put 22? Put 21. Okay, let me get that down. Okay, well, we'll put it in the description.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd love to connect with your audience. So thank you so much for having me on your show again.
Again, yes. Thank you for being a part of it and sharing your beautiful insights. It's been really wonderful to connect with you once again. So take good care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. All right, beautiful souls. So that was Dallisa Hocking. You can find her at Spirit and Spark. In the description, there will be information of how to connect with her. If you'd like to do so, some of you already may know of her. What do we got here? Lots of affirmations in your chat today. Thank you, ladies. Find joy in nature. Thank you. Yeah, I love the pockets, because so many people ask me, some of you are in the chat, where should we go? Where should we move? And the pockets, it's going to be in pockets. And that's what I see psychically. It's just different pockets. So it's trusting your inner knowing, your feeling. And most of you are right where you need to be for right now, you know? Let's see. Yeah. Podcast 22 is the code. Don't you love? She thought, yes, find joy. I love that she brought up the Hermit. You know, so many people are talking about the going within, though, the slowing down, the space. I liked how she described it was, you know, and I do feel like when we slow down, we move more into the subtle energy of us. You know, we're less constricted or contracted. So that is beautiful. Any other questions, anyone, or anything you want to share? I've loved having you all here, transmitting and transforming. Yeah. Fear to faith. That is a biggie right now. That is an observing. Can we observe? Being the detached observer, the witness of it all. I love that question, Barbie, about to a point where there's chaos gets bypassed. I love what she shared about that as well. Chaos is just energy. Think of cleaning out your closets. When you clean them out, you have to take all the stuff out, and you look, you know, maybe on the bed, let's say it's whatever the closet is or the drawer, and you look and you're like, oh God, what do I get rid of? What do I keep? That's another thing everyone is a good thing to ask yourself right now. What do you need to move on from, to get rid of? What do you need to get rid of right now? What are you moving on from? Where is your higher self moving you on? Your higher self is moving you on from something, an approach, a way of being. It might be just something rather small, an approach, an idea, a way of being, a focus, you know. There might be new interests. Where do you want to be a little more curious? Where do you want to try something out? Right now is about exploration, experimentation. So while there is all this uncertainty and there's less stuff locked in, remember, out of chaos comes new order, or out of chaos comes creation. It's creative energy. And from that creation or creative energy comes new order. So you could say out of chaos comes creation, or out of chaos comes new order. We put the things back in order. We take the stuff out. We move it around, like in the drawer. You dump the drawer out. All this stuff is all over. But I keep this. I get rid of this. I put it back in a new order. So we're going to have a time of putting things in order. So right now, you want to explore. You want to experiment. You want to try out new things, new ways of experiencing and expressing life or yourself. Little ways. It doesn't have to be hours a day or an hour. The commitment is consistency. It doesn't have to be in a big way. Sharing your thoughts, especially here, coming here and sharing your thoughts, your ideas in the chat. Come on the live stream, post something, try a new way of eating, a new food, try a new exercise, a new route home or to work. Move furniture around in your house, move things around. Okay, this is the time to try out new things. This is not the time to stay stagnant. We're not yet in the maintaining, stabilizing aspect. We're still bridging a lot and starting to build, but it's foundational. You might have a blueprint, an idea that you want to put into form. But try it out. It's like when you want to remodel or you want to build a house, you might have multiple blueprints before you go, yeah, that's the one. Or maybe you're looking at pictures. That's a good thing. Look at the images or what's around you. What do I want more of? Focus on what you want more of and ask yourself, is this optimizing my life, my energy, my love? Is it optimizing my relationship? Is this optimizing my health? Because you're being moved into a fuller way of expressing your soul, a more fulfilling, interesting, creative, perhaps prosperous or abundant way of expressing your soul, moving more into your soul's purpose. How you express and experience your soul's purpose to some degree is changing. And for some of you, it's becoming part of your soul mission. There's a mission. You're answering this soul call. So beautiful, soul lights. Let's see. Do you have any other questions? Okay, Barbie. I have been literally looking for a place for my family to move. So it was awesome that you guys brought it up. Yes. And I do agree you have to go. If you can, I think the best thing is to see the resonance. And I like what Dallisa was saying when she suggested don't look at it like a holiday, but if you were living here, how would this be? How would this be to get around? How does this really feel? And I would, collect pictures of where you want it to be. The other thing that I suggest is ask yourself, what are the qualities of the energy of the people I want to be around, circumstances and situation? That could be for a job, a career, that could be for a move. So when you focus on the quality of energy, that's vibrational frequency and energy, right? Focusing on the energy, it has to do with the vibrational frequency of energy. What is there? Because you may not always be able to see it or know what it is, but you can feel it. And then later you might know what it is. There's some places that I go and I like this. This feels, there's something. Friend took me someplace last week and I love the place. And I'm like, there's just something about it, the way that it was set up. And then I'm hearing people speak different languages, and some people were from Ireland, and I think somebody was from Australia, and I think the owner might be from England. Places I love and I've lived. And so my part of fortune is in the 9th house of Sagittarius. So I love traveling and living internationally. And so I didn't know what it was. It was the feeling, the energy of it, the energetics, the resonance. I was more in resonance there. And later I found out why. And also the food. I loved the food, the way the food was. So anyway, I hope that helps. That's who is amazing. Yeah, Barbie, let us know, Barbie, if you do move or where you're looking at. But yeah, follow the resonance by the energy. And what is the quality of energy? What kind of energy do you want to be around? Like I like artistic, philosophical, spirit, those things have a certain quality of energy. But because the quality of energy is going to show you the right mixture. Like I might want to be near a city, but out further. And I may want, a great music scene close by or something. You see what I'm saying? If I start identifying what I need, back in the day was like a gym, a yoga studio. Now I can do that on my own, but there were certain things I had to have near me, bookstore. I maybe want a bookstore. So now we're talking about the quality of energy when I'm looking at certain activities that I would be doing, certain visuals. I need trees. I need to be around nature, water, trees. I need to see the trees. I lived one place in the city for a short period of time in a big city, and it was very flat. So I know I need hills. Mountains are good too. I love mountains, but if I can't get mountains, I have to have rolling hills, greenery and trees, and water, preferably a beach, because these are all the things that I know nourish me as well. All right, Soul Lights, it's been great to connect with you. If you are new here by any chance, I really want to welcome you. I hope you'll consider subscribing. I hope all of you will consider liking and sharing the video so more people can get the messages and connect with us and join our community. And if you're listening, I know there's a lot of people that listen only to the audio podcasts, and I so get that. Some people don't like coming on YouTube. I've heard some people say, oh, I don't want to do YouTube. I just listen. I listen in the background. I listen in the car. Totally fine. But I would suggest if you subscribe also to the audio podcast, give us 5 stars, let us know where and how you found Awakenings with Michelle Mache. And most importantly, whether you subscribe or like, I don't even know if you can hype this yet. I don't know. It's so new here. But I just hope that you'll consider joining the conversation, whether in the chat or getting the link and coming on the live stream. I do hope that you really know how not only beautiful and amazing you are, but important, your voice, how you live your life and what you're doing, what you see, your wisdom from that is so needed right now. And not only I would like to hear from you, I know this community would love to hear from you and we would welcome you. So if you have something you'd love to share, I'd love to see you and I'd love to hear it. So we are here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. Oh, Barbie, you with the trees too. We do the live stream and then the audio version gets edited and put on the podcast platform. So we're new here and looking forward to being a part of this beautiful community here as well. All right, Radiant Soul Lights. Till next time, shine bright and not only join the conversation, but let's keep the conversation going. Till next time, lots of love. I'm getting woke and staying woke. Awakenings broadcasts every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Archive shows available on iTunes. For continued awakened conversations and insights, check out Michelle's blog at soulplayground.com and keep awake.